Kia ora koutou. Thank you for being here. I am joined by Green Party musterer Ricardo Menendez-March and the chair of Te Mātua Waka, our party's Māori and Pacifica Caucus, Te Anō Toiono. The Green Party has a proud track record of advocating for people and planet. It is why we exist. Protecting our planet and caring for our people are core to who we are. And as co-leaders, Marama and I have clear expectations that our MPs are guided by those values and maintain a high standard of behaviour in everything that they do, both inside and outside of Parliament. This is why, following the conclusion of the expert, independent investigation into the allegations surrounding Darleen Tana, Marama and I recommended to Caucus that we request her resignation as a Member of Parliament. Our Green Caucus unanimously agreed. It is our view that the final report from this investigation sets out multiple ways that Darleen Tana's conduct has fallen far short of the expectations that myself and Marama have as Green co-leaders and of the values of the Green Party. To outline the facts of the past 48 hours or so for you all as clearly as possible, Party leadership received the final independent expert report at approximately 9:30 p.m. this past Friday, the 5th of July. A caucus meeting was called the very next day on Saturday, the 6th of July at 1:30 p.m. All MPs were provided with the report to inform discussions at this meeting. Ahead of this discussion, Marama and I advised our Green Caucus that we would be seeking their endorsement for our recommendation to request Darleen Tana's resignation from Parliament. Darleen was invited to present at that caucus meeting and did so alongside her lawyer and another support person. She then left the meeting to allow caucus to discuss the recommendation, and prior to that decision being made, she wrote to the party secretary and our parliamentary chief of staff notifying us of her resignation from the party. After being told of her resignation as a party member, Caucus proceeded to unanimously endorse the recommendation of the co-leaders to request the resignation of Darleen Tana, not just from the party, but from Parliament as well. That night, Marama, Ricardo and I wrote to the Speaker to inform him that Darleen Tana is no longer a member of the Green Party Parliamentary Caucus. Marama and I then wrote to Darleen Tana formally requesting her resignation as a Member of Parliament. We are in the process of contacting all parties named in the executive summary in relation to their privacy interests, with the intention of releasing that executive summary of the report as soon as practically possible. To be clear, our preference would have been the immediate release of the full report, but we must continue to follow good practice around privacy rights and law. Happy to take your questions. At present, she has not yet responded to the substance of that request.
What has been her defence?
Look, I'm not in a position to disclose confidential conversations that occurred at Caucus, and I would say that those are questions that I believe that you are now in a position to put directly to her.
Can you give us a bit of a, you can't release the full report today, can you give us a bit of a sense of what it found?
It found that the behaviour of Darleen Tana falls far, far short of the expectations that myself, Marama, and obviously our caucus have. Expectations not just of Green MPs, but of any Member of Parliament. More so than that, myself and Marama are very clear that it is our view that Darleen Tana has been far from forthright or upfront with us.
Is that in relation to the way that they've treated migrant workers at business?
Again, Benedict, unfortunately we can't get into the specifics of the report. There, of course, is abundant reporting out there, which I'm sure all of you will be kind of drawing on, but the basic facts are that the content of the report is such that it is crystal clear to myself and Marama that Darleen Tana's behaviour falls far short of our expectations of any Member of Parliament.
I don't think it's appropriate for her to remain in Parliament.
Absolutely.
Will you be using the rocket-jumping rules to get her out of Parliament?
So we've not discussed that yet as a caucus, nor have we discussed that as a party. Right now, the ball is sitting in Darleen's court. And as I reminded her, I actually attempted to call her twice this morning, as well as writing to her this morning to inform her that this stand-up would be occurring and that we would be disclosing all of this. we believe that the best way to minimise any more harm and any collateral damage is for Darleen to resign.
Are you worried that she will stick around?
Sorry?
Are you worried that she will stick around and use the ability to still be an MP?
Look, at this point in time, what I'm expressing to you really clearly is the actions that we have undertaken in just over 48 hours since we received the report at 9:30 p.m. on Friday night. What happens next? The ball is presently in Darleen's court, and we continue to reiterate to her that she should resign from Parliament. Sorry, Ben? Not in a position to speak to that, but you'll be aware that per, I believe, the Verve magazine issue, that there has been a referral from the Electoral Commission to police, but that sits apart from this report.
Can I also say, obviously, this has taken an incredibly long time. Did you, on the face of it, form a judgment that this was a likely outcome at the start of this investigation, a very legitimate investigation?
Look, if I knew back then what I knew now, of course we wouldn't have had to have undertaken this independent expert investigation, but what's really clear is that Darleen Tana was not upfront with myself and Marama as co-leaders, and to that effect, we instigated this process and we've got to where we've got to. So just on a prima facie read of it, our general election 2023 candidate code of conduct, at the very least, is evidently, or on the kind of first read of it, breaching what we consider to be appropriate conduct in terms of candidates conducting themselves in a way which upholds the good name of the party, also identifying conflict with others as the conflict arises, and also at paragraph 14 to promptly disclose any historical information which could bring the party into disrepute. Thomas?
Is it not then off the table as a method for you to use because of your previous opposition to it, or are you open-minded to potentially using it?
Look, I'd say it's just something that we haven't discussed. I mean, at the starting point here, we are dealing with a situation that the party has never been confronted with in terms of the severity of these allegations and the process that we had to undertake as a result of that. So as far as next steps go, I can tell you very clearly that we are hoping that Darleen does the right thing here and resigns as a Member of Parliament. If she does not do that, then further discussions will ensue. I'm presently not in a position to answer that. As I was just kind of reflecting on with regard to the process that we have undertaken to even come to this position to request Darleen Tana's resignation, that was a unanimous caucus decision. So any discussions about this, I'm simply not in a position to say today. Sorry, we'll finish Thomas's line.
What makes the severity of these incidents so much worse than anything
as we've said, this kind of goes to the core of who we are in terms of the allegations that have been swirling publicly with regard to the likes of migrant exploitation, for example. This is really serious and it goes to the core of who we are and everything that we have long campaigned on.
Is the main issue that you had,
Felix?
The main issue that you had around those allegations that had come to light with Darleen Tana, or more so that she misled the party? Which is the bigger one issue for you?
To be honest, both. The report itself is crystal clear on myself, Marama and the caucus's read that Darleen Tana's behaviour is completely out of line with the behaviour that we expect of not only Green MPs but of Members of Parliament. And in addition to that, it is our very strong view that she misled myself and Marama.
As a treaty-centric party,
Sorry.
as a treaty-centric party, are you comfortable, you're confident that you followed due process in terms of upholding, considered your Waitangi process in how you dealt with a wahine Māori?
Thank you for the question, and I will refer in a second to Te Ano Tuiono, obviously as chair of Te Mata Waka, our Māori and Pacifica Caucus. But what I can say at the outset here is that we're not discussing who Darleen is, we're discussing what she has done. And she was engaged from the outset in terms of the initiation, signed off the terms of reference for this investigation, and we have done absolutely everything that we can. I can put my hand on heart and say I personally, as well as Marama, have bent over backwards to engage in good faith and as transparently as we possibly can with Darleen. That extends also to me calling her personally on the Saturday morning prior to that caucus call to invite her to present to us, attempting to make direct contact with her twice this morning, and also Te Ano calling her yesterday. Sorry.
that the Green Party is unsafe for our wahine Māori. This is the second wahine you have lost. How safe, Pātai, how safe is the Green Party for wahine Māori?
I guess I'd just firstly acknowledge the fact that I, of course, am a Pākehā co-leader, and I am standing here without our wahine Māori co-leader, the Honourable Marama Davidson. To that effect, I would also make it abundantly clear that Marama was actively involved in all party and all caucus discussions to get to this point over the weekend. But Tiana, you may have more.
But the question is, is the party racist? Is it unsafe for wahine Māori?
No, I wouldn't go there. And just to acknowledge that Marama has been engaged in this process, even on the weekend as well. So this is not about who Darleen is. This is about what she has done. And just to note that when you're down at the marae, you look after your ringawera. When you're down at the marae, you look after your ringawera. If you're down at your workplace, you look after the workers. And we've got a long-standing tradition of standing up against migrant exploitation and standing up for workers' rights, and that's what's important here. Okay.
He aha te take kaore I tū tētahi aro ki tanga mō Jolie, whai muri ake I ngā kōrero mōna, e mea ana I te tūki no hia te whakahaere I o te tua e ia.
He rere ki te tukanga tō Julian Genta, tērā I mea te koe, I te mea kei mua noa te tērā I te Privileges Committee. Nō reira, he rere ki tērā tukanga. Tēnei tukanga kei te whakaroa ke mātua ki ngā āhuatanga o ngā ringawera, kei te whakaroa ke mātua ki ngā āhuatanga ki ngā kaimahi, me te mea matua, ko ngā mōtika kaimahi, he mea matua kia mātou ngā kākāriki. I kaha mātua ki te tautoko ngā uniana. Tērā te take I haere na mātou ki rungi tēnei ara, tēnei wā.
Ko koe te rangatira o tēnei pāti, e nā nei. Engari, I roto I tō wairoa, I roto I tō manawa, tautoko koe tēnei tūkanga?
Tino, kaha tautoko kia kauri rawa ko Marama. I te mea hara tēnei me te māma te hautu tēnei o ngā waka, engari kaha tautoko tā rātou I whakatau ai.
Mark?
Knowing what you know now, do the Green Party's candidate selection procedures need to be looked at again?
Yeah. I want to be really clear that Darleen should have declared this, and she did not do so. So that's the first and most important thing here. What that then kind of prompts the question of, as you allude to, Mark, is the tightening up of those candidate selection processes where somebody doesn't potentially declare something that they should have. And that's a live process which is currently underway for the party reviewing those candidate selection processes right now. And myself and Marama are, as you can expect, very involved in that.
And with the report now wrapped up, can you speak to why it did take so long to get here?
What I can say is that the expanded scope of the inquiry as more allegations came to light and we made those decisions. Yeah.
Robbie, how much credibility has the party lost over this?
Look, I would say that in our actions over the past 48 hours or so and receiving the report at 9:30 p.m. on a Friday night, swiftly making a decision and all engaged deeply in the content and substance of that report and coming to the conclusion that we utterly reject the behaviour as outlined and being completely out of step with what we expect not only of a Green Party MP but a Member of Parliament entirely, makes it clear to New Zealanders where we stand here. I would also really like to point out that while I understand all of our shared frustrations in terms of the length of time that this report has taken, it has provided us with a robust set of evidence to make the recommendation that Marama and I did to our caucus and for our caucus to unanimously agree to request the resignation of Darleen Tana.
So how would you assess the task ahead of rebuilding credibility after?
Yeah, well, the planet's burning. We have amongst the highest rates of wealth inequality that we've ever seen on record. We have a Minister of the Crown saying that he's really keen to decimate our native species in order to open up coal mines. We have a housing crisis. We're really keen to move forward, giving you everything that we have and everything that we possibly can to draw a line under this and to focus on the issues that matter to New Zealanders.
How can people trust the party now?
Well, we're giving you everything that we've got, and we're being clear about the process that we engaged in to make the decision that we did, and we're working at pace, but in compliance with privacy law, to release that report as swiftly as we possibly can.
Well, let's say that you and Mama have sort of been sort of backwards to work with Darleen as well as possible. By comparison, how responsive has Darleen been throughout this process? Has she made it easy or difficult for all of you?
Look, well, I've already alluded to the fact that our very strong conclusion is that she has not been forthright or upfront with us, which is the very reason that this investigation had to be initiated in the first place. We could have completely curtailed that had there been that transparency at the beginning. I'm not in a position to disclose confidential conversations, of course, and I continue to be of the view, and I would actually put the ask out to Darleen to please resign, to minimise the collateral damage and the harm here to the Green Party kaupapa that all of us profess to uphold.
Give us any sense of her position.
I think that it's probably most appropriate for you to ask her of that. I'm not here to represent anybody else other than those who stand in the Green Party caucus.
Would you expect her to pay back her salary, which has been suspended for 160 days now, collecting money from the taxpayer? Do you expect that?
For the sake of this investigation, which, as I've just articulated, has had to occur by virtue of that lack of being upfront from the outset, again, I'd say that that's a very appropriate question for you to ask her.
When does she get the report at the same time as you? Also, how long was the meeting, and has the report or will the report be passed on to the rest of the board?
So just to answer those in succession, so we received the final version of the report at 9:30 on Friday night. I sent the report directly to Darleen off the back of a conversation early in the morning on Saturday morning, but Darleen had access to a draft version of that report and the ability to kind of input into that for about a fortnight prior. And then, sorry, what was the other part of the question?
How long was the meeting?
Yep.
And has the report, or will the report be sent or passed on?
With regard to the policing question, I simply can't tell you. Obviously, we're presently in a position where we're the ones who commissioned that report, and we're going through a process with regard to consultation. Should the police approach us, that would, I guess, change the kind of facts here, and we're always willing to engage in good faith as far as that goes. But then to, so the other part of the question, how long the meeting was, it would have been a few hours. Yeah.
On you were talking about issue of climate change before, how much responsibility does the Green Party take relying to with base party and the last 6 months has not been, the majority of the time has not been speaking about that.
Yep.
How much rebuilding does your party need to do?
I guess just to offer a personal reflection to begin with, I'm finding it really hard to reconcile somebody who I thought I knew and loved with the behaviour that is outlined in this report, which falls far short of the expectations and, again, what I thought I knew of this person participating in ostensibly upholding our Green Party kaupapa. I also want to be really clear that we need to disentangle what is currently happening with regard to the rough few months that we have had. Scandals sit entirely apart from the trauma that we have faced from the death of one of our colleagues in the form of Whaanana Efessel Collins. That also sits entirely apart from Marama Davidson's breast cancer diagnosis and treatment. We take responsibility for and will act as swiftly as we can with our values at the forefront and have done in responding to all of the other things that have occurred.
What were those further allegations? Why did you need to expand the investigation if it's really just about, was she upfront with you?
Because ultimately we were interested in getting to the bottom of what Darleen Tana knew when.
Yeah, but isn't that really the ERA job? What was the Green Party interest in that, and why then ask the taxpayer effectively to keep her employed, keep her sitting in Parliament, although not attending?
Again, all of this could have been did not need to happen had we received forthright and upfront engagement at the outset. This report, this investigation would not have had to occur. To your point on kind of the taxpayer and that engagement with regard to the independent expert report, as far as that goes, and as you all will know because there's plenty of public reporting on it, we initiated this report out of our Green Party parliamentary office. All party leaders' offices have funds that they have discretionary availability or access to. But in discussions with the Speaker, per that expanded scope, and also the shared responsibility that we believe that the party has, that burden or that cost shifted to the parliamentary party. Sorry?
How much did it cost all that?
I don't have that off the top of my head for you, but if you would like to, I can put you in touch with those within the party. All right.
A few questions following up on others. You spoke to Emma about the police referral or not. She said if police were to approach you, do you not see it's your responsibility if you have information that could suggest that law is broken to pass it on to police?
But to be really clear at this point in time, I am not aware of anything within that report that necessarily impacts any of those investigations or otherwise. So, of course, to be crystal clear, we are here to engage with whomever to make sure that we get the best possible outcomes for transparency, for good faith and for justice.
You also said that Darleen had access to a draft report about a fortnight. When did you get access to a draft?
We did not get access to a draft report. So we got the final report at 9:30 p.m. on Friday night, approximately 9:30 p.m. Yeah.
You also said that she never disclosed in candidate vetting any of this stuff, that she wasn't upfront with you. Can you lay out, I know that you can't talk about the substance of the discussions, but at what point and how many times did you directly ask her about these things and did she do it?
Multiple times.
Just going back on the, the disentanglement of the trauma scandals and doing the work. I mean, like, you say that like you must do it, but are you able to do it? Like, has this been one of the hardest moments in your cooking?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I come here, all of our Green Party MPs come here because we believe in climate and social justice, and we fight tooth and nail for that kaupapa. We hold strongly to the view that no one person changes the world alone, but the kind of counterfactual to that is that no one person is bigger than the kaupapa.
How furious are you at Darleen Tana with that in mind?
I feel utterly betrayed.
What is your message going to be to members at your AGM if they're going to pick up the cost of this investigation? One would imagine they're frustrated at the last sort of 12 months with the avoidable scandals. What are you going to tell them about their continued faith in you?
I'm really excited about the AGM in Christchurch. I'm excited about the opportunity for us to engage fulsomely with our party members and, transparently and in good faith, and to work through all of this.
Is there an opportunity for the caucus to say, we are sorry on behalf of the members who have screwed up, that the caucus hasn't really been able to fulfil on what members who are giving you money are sort of expecting?
If I can be really clear, despite the fact that we have, absolutely had a rough last few months, I think all of you in the gallery can reflect on the fact that our MPs have still, pound for pound, been punching far above our weight. Just look at what's happened in Scrutiny Week. Look at our holding government ministers and the Prime Minister to account in question time. The parliamentary work has continued, and so too has the campaigning. So for anyone who's interested in that, I'd recommend that they get involved in our renters campaign.
Aside from Martha's ongoing cancer treatment, are you hoping that today sort of marks the closing of what has been a pretty difficult chapter?
Yeah, we are absolutely hoping to just draw a line under things and to get back to talking about and focusing all of our energy on what matters to people and planet.
And then on that, when is the Privileges Committee likely to look back on that?
Ricardo?
The Privileges Committee work continues to be ongoing, and it would be a breach of privilege for me to talk about issues that haven't been tabled in Parliament. I would be breaking privileges to be divulging that sort of information, but I can say that it's still within the Privileges Committee.
Just in terms of, the Greens have had a very long history in terms of reaching out to migrant communities and shining a light on migrant exploitation. Have you heard from those migrant communities about how they felt about this incident, and what would be your message to them if they are feeling a wee bit betrayed by a party that they thought that has historically been slighted?
I take no joy in having to expel a member of a caucus, and our commitment to tackling and ending migrant exploitation remains unwavering. We will continue working alongside the migrant community to stamp out migrant exploitation from Aotearoa, and you would have seen just last week the fruits of our labour, for example, in Loasi Latu's case, where we were able to support the family to obtain a 5-year visitor visa. That work continues, and I'm committed to ensuring that we continue to hold the trust of a community that has been underrepresented in Parliament.
But just with when you are going out and speaking to those communities, as a spokesperson, are you hearing anything from them about this, that frustrated or maybe not?
Migrant workers expect every single one of us to have their backs and to not give any space to migrant exploitation. So that work has been my commitment since my beginning of my parliamentary career, and it will continue being the priority of our Green Party caucus.
Can I just pick up on your point, around the tikanga process? Could you step us through how you use tikanga in the process for the environment?
So to be really clear, and again just to reiterate, as the Pākehā co-leader, I don't kind of hold that space nor profess to speak on behalf of anybody other than myself. But everything that I have done has been an active participation with Marama Davidson as our co-leader and obviously as a member of Te Mātua Waka, our Māori and Pacifica Caucus. What we have done with this process is, as much as humanly possible, uphold our Green Party values of appropriate decision-making, of good faith, of natural justice, and of transparency. So we have tried as best as humanly possible, especially since we got that final report on Friday night, to engage with Darleen and have continued up until this morning and throughout this afternoon and remain available to her, should she wish, to put this to bed and to draw a line under it, which continues to be our view of the best way to wrap all of this up.
So, Kiara, then, in terms of closure, how te tikanga o te kāti, te whakawāti,
O ahei te haere ki tōna marae, ki tōna whare, te noho mo te kapiti, ka ahei au ki tērā. Hoi anō, tautoko au nā kōrero tō Chloe, raua ko Marama, i te me, i hehe rāta ki te kōrero kia Darleen, kia whakariti nā te horopaki kia ahei, kia horo tēnei tukanga, engari karikau. Hoi, kei tuati tērā, ka wāti au ki te haere ki tōna whare, ka hehe au. Ki te hihe aia. Ko te katoa nā poro, kei tōna taha o te kōti.
You've been to visit her, you saying?
No, what I was saying that I'm open to going to go see her if she wants.
But as a local katoa, te whakawāti, te whakahaumari, tēnei kaupapa, i pīrangi koutou ki te haere, ki te whakahui, ki te hui nā, i a koe, i a ia, i me tōna tāna, i ona tāna.
If she wants, yes.
Sorry, just asking you to repeat yourselves, but have there been any specific offers of support throughout this? I understand the transparency and the engagement, but any specific offers of support to Darleen through this process, or now that it is coming to a close, I appreciate so she's been next but what duty of care do you have?
So this is where, in reaching out to Darleen and again seeking to have her input at the top of that caucus meeting, in which of course we were effectively discussing her fate as a Green Party MP, she made the decision to remove herself as a Green Party MP prior to us getting to the opportunity to come to a conclusion on the co-leader's recommendation to request her resignation, and all caucus members were informed of that as that happened and decided to proceed. We see our duty of care or our engagement with Darleen to continue to keep those lines of communication open, and as Tiano has alluded to, we have also been more than willing to, in whatever form that looks like, go to her and try and work with her to de-escalate this.
Did the Greens take that?
Just on when I was referring to responsibility earlier, I was referring to situations like this, some of the behaviour that you described as unacceptable in the past, and also somebody who sort of come out and said that they want more support.
Yep.
Just in reference to that last question, will you be changing the way the Green Party looks after and also deals with the MPs in the future regarding this sort of stream?
Yeah. So I've been pretty clear about the fact that something that I'm actually quite grateful for over the last few months is that a number of members of Parliament from actually all political parties, have reached out and expressed their care and concern, reflecting on similar circumstances that have occurred within their own caucuses in recent history. And what that, I think, really points to is the fact that this place, our parliament, still continues to be an environment that's not conducive to getting the best out of people. There is an accountability and a responsibility that each political party and the leadership of that party or those parties has to take in order to try and make things as best as possible in that reality. And to that effect, I absolutely take accountability for that, as does Marama. So I guess to offer some broader reflections, throughout this process, and particularly throughout the last few months, but also especially over the last 48 hours or so, I can tell you hand on heart that this caucus has been forged in fire. We have a group of people who are incredibly focused and unified on moving forward and dealing with the issues that actually matter to people. And to that effect, of course there's going to be evolution in the way that we do things, but all systems are just the sum of their parts, and those parts are just people, and we're dealing with humans and their fallibility at the end of the day.
Just discussing the code of conduct from the candidates, do you have an MP code of conduct, and has Darleen broken that as well?
Darleen's behaviour absolutely falls far short of what we expect of our MPs. You will appreciate that there are a number of internal documents that MPs sign up to, including the likes of our party caucus agreement, which, yes, prima facie, and also based on our charter principles, yes, we consider to have been breached.
Do you think you took this seriously enough when you first emerged this issue?
Look, I'd say again, Benedict, if we knew what we know now, then we absolutely could have just not done the investigation, but we only know on crystal clear basis what we know now because of that independent expert investigation. And it is crystal clear that there are multiple instances in which we consider that Darleen has not upheld the values or the behaviour that we expect, not only of a Green MP, but a Member of Parliament entirely.
But you knew about these allegations for quite a while before the media found out, and that's when the media found out, that she was the
Personally, I knew about this on the week that I became co-leader, and we acted within, having a conversation with Darleen. And again, had we had forthright information provided to us at that point in time, then we may not have had to go down the track that we did. But I can expect, and I think we can all expect, that there will be a lot of lessons that are learnt from this process. It's the first time that we've been confronted with something like it, and I'm absolutely open to all due scrutiny in terms of how we've handled it.
Does the report go into the way you guys have handled it at all?
I can't comment on the details of that. As I've said, I am really keen, and Marama is really keen for us to release this as soon as we can, but need to consult with all the parties as named in the report. That's why, for sake of expediency, we have sought to consult immediately with those, and already have this morning, with those who are named in the executive summary.
So, Chloe, am I hearing that the party does take some responsibility in what has occurred?
We commissioned the report, and we absolutely stand by doing everything.
Previously, in terms of the process that you used for candidate selection, there's a range of issues that the party now needs to go through and investigate, because this is this is actually the third Wahine Māori that has left the party. If we go back to the Te Tuirai. So does this party take responsibility in some of the processes that it has around support?
If I can be crystal clear, all three of those instances are markedly, radically different on the basis of the facts. I hear you on that. But again, as Tiano said, what we're talking about here is not who Darleen is, but what Darleen has done. And to your point around taking responsibility, I absolutely take responsibility for everything that I possibly can in this, and I will be held accountable to, and will put myself in front of all of you for sake of scrutiny on the actions that we take. But what I can tell you is that I very strongly believe, and will stake everything on the fact, that I genuinely believe we have done everything that we possibly can with our values at the forefront.
So, can I go back to your being a treaty-centric party? It is not who they are, it is what they did. But for Te Ao Māori, it is who they are. So you're not going to take notice of who they are in terms of Māori, wahine, whakapapa, iwi, kapu. That is not going to factor into any of your ideologies of being a treaty-centric party. You don't care
I think we do care, and that is incredibly important. But if you look at it from, if you look at it,
I think the co-leader twice now saying it wasn't who they are.
And if I can be crystal clear on that, we're talking about the outcome of this report and the behaviour which breaches the standard, the long-standing behaviour over multiple years, which breaches the standards that we expect of Green Party MPs. Myself and Marama Davidson, on the basis of that report, made a recommendation to our caucus, which includes our Te Mata Waka MPs and party representatives, to work through that process and to come to the conclusion that they did on unanimously endorsing the recommendation of co-leaders to request the resignation of Darleen Tana. That, I think, sits apart from, as you are speaking to very clearly, the responsibility that we have to uphold Te Tiriti o Waitangi. So I'll offer Te Anō the opportunity to speak to that.
If you are down at the marae, there's an obligation on you to look after your ringawera. If you are down at your workplace, there's an obligation of you to look after your kaimai. That tikanga follows from here to there as well. And I think that's really important for us to put at the centre of this. Our stand against migrant exploitation.
With that in mind, and going to the situation with Julie and Genta, and you said that with Kelly here, in Ngāti, physical holding of a constituent is not the same. You do not prioritise that.
That is before the Privileges Committee.
Yes, but no party inquiry. So I'm just trying to get a sense of why the party has not used the same process around a Pākehā MP and your Māori women MP.
Julianne immediately acknowledged what had happened and apologised for it in the House of Parliament.
But no
We then,
inquiry from the party.
because she acknowledged what had happened and took accountability for it, and the Privileges Committee flows from that. This is different insofar as we did not have here, with this case of Darleen Tana, acknowledgement of what had happened. In fact, it is our view that, in fact, we have been met with obfuscation. We have not been able to ascertain, as co-leaders, basic facts which prompted the need for this investigation.
So you confront Te Ao Māori and you can say that your process that you used with one MP is the same as you used with your Wahine Māori MPs. They are no different, that you had used the same process.
We didn't need to use the same process because there were different things that occurred at the outset. At the outset, we did not get upfront information from Darleen Tana, which led to the need for this investigation. In the instance of the Honourable Julianne Genta, she immediately, in the space of the House, on public record, acknowledged what she had done, apologised for it, and has been participating in the consequences of that behaviour.
But subsequent to that were allegations that she had bullied a small business owner. There was no follow-up inquiry around that by the party.
Again, we've remained completely willing to engage with anybody who should be interested in holding our MPs accountable. That is our job, that is our duty.
Why no inquiry?
Bec-
This goes to the heart of what you're saying around process, procedure. So I'm just asking, why no inquiry on an allegation from a small business owner that she was bullied and physically touched by the Honourable Julianne Genta versus this situation?
If I can just, again, to address this directly, and I don't think that it needs to go around in circles, we are more than willing to engage directly with that business owner should she be looking for consequences from her allegations.
Is it tenable for Darleen to return to Parliament? Would you be happy to sit behind her beside her as an independent MP?
We've requested her resignation.
What would you do if she returns to Parliament, wants to remain?
Honestly, what we are dealing with today and what we are telling you is about the actions that we have undertaken in the last 48 hours or so. It is our caucus's unanimous view that Darleen Tana is at this point not fit to be a Member of Parliament. The ball is in her court as to whether she accepts that request for her resignation. As to what comes next if she does not, well, look, in the same way that we are in front of you right now answering questions and being subject to due public scrutiny, I would expect the same would occur there. We had asked her for her response by midday Sunday.
Just a clarification on the cost of the report. Is it correct that the first 40,000 was paid for from the bulk allowance?
From the Green Leader's office, yes.
Right, and then the rest has been paid for by
party. Yeah.
But you don't know how much over and above 40 grand.
Again, that sits with the party. Yeah.
To enact the legislation to remove her from Parliament, can I just ask with the Green Party, should that ever happen, would the Green Party only need votes from within the caucus, or would that have to go to the Parliament?
Again, I don't actually know because we haven't discussed what that would look like for us to do anything like that.
If Darleen Tana does decide to stay in the House, would you welcome her support vote?
Thousands of Green Party volunteers mobilised across this election campaign to gain the trust of more than 300,000 New Zealanders to vote to enable us to have 15 Green Party MPs in this Parliament to fight every single day for people and for planet. So it is my clear view, it is me and Marama's clear view, that those 15 seats, particularly those list seats, were enabled by a people-powered campaign and the trust and the faith that people put in our principles, in our values, and in our policies. What we are telling you today is that myself and Marama, as co-leaders of the party, and all members of our caucus unanimously have said that the behaviour of Darleen Tana falls far short of that we expect of a Green Party MP, but more so of a Member of Parliament.
In terms of getting additional seats, Darleen needs to resign for you to be allowed an additional place on the list. How does that?
Sorry, you're talking about the technical details of how we would get the seat back? That's why we've requested her resignation. As to what occurs if she rejects that, ball's in her court.
Have you had a conversation with Benjamin Doyle about the fact that they might be about to be having?
I personally have not, no.
Are they ready to be in?
Again, I can't comment on that because I have not had that conversation. Yes, we do know our candidates, and yes, Ben is currently pursuing his PhD and has contributed a heap in the educational space over the last few years. So we've got amazing people, and again, this is where we need to be really clear about what our values are and the kind of behaviour that we accept and reject.